I'm trying to get on the meeting. He's a blocker.
Cute.
He can't stop. Annoying.
Mhm.
What's up, bud?
Well,
How about a little history on on this message?
a history on this message.
Yeah, like where it really started from.
I have no idea.
Perfect.
It's history now. That's its thing. It's part of it isn't it, there's no history. Yeah. I think my feeling in a way, if you look at it in a historical way, with no evidence to support it, just my opinion, I believe something obvious was expected to be obvious, but it wasn't. Yeah. And then things that were supposed to lead you somewhere were being used to mislead you. So then there needed to be a rebuttal or an answer to that. And I think that's where non-duality comes from. Yeah. So, because the thing is, because the head tells us what we are, and we're not that, but there's an assumption that that's already done. We are that, yes? And now let's get to the business of looking for something. Yeah. Now, that works if you're not that. But if you are what you're looking for, then looking for it wouldn't work, yes? Yeah. So a lot of things, a lot of ways or paths or methods are a way they're trying to look for it, look for it in a clearer, more radical, more extreme. And looking for it in this view is an obstruction to the obviousness that you are it. Yeah. And it doesn't need much explanation, because if you are something, you're not going to be moved to look for it. Yeah. Yeah. If the recognition that you are something is recognized, then that second thing's not going to come up, because it comes up from a misunderstanding to begin with. Yeah. So there's a misunderstanding, and then we set out on the course to find what the misunderstanding says we need to find. Now, if that misunderstanding gets negated, then looking for it would be quite obviously a blindness to it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like, metaphysical dominoes ad infinitum. It's just like this domino hit, falls and it hits the other domino. Yeah. Now, if you have a mistake in the first domino, then the second movement will be different. So if there is a sense that you are something already and it's not that satisfactory, then there's a drive to look for something that's going to make it better. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But what happens if you are what you're looking for? Then looking for it would be a deviation, yes? Or a mistake. To the point where it would actually reinforce the misunderstanding, not clarify it. And even then, it will finally clarify it, because it will fail you, which is great. Yeah. So you can't lose, in a sense, because even if you try super hard to find what you're looking for, which is the what's looking, the failure in that's going to be very valuable. Yeah. And what would be really great if you could learn from others. And when they shared their failure, you wouldn't see that you were an exception or a unique circumstance. You would recognize, wow, yeah, Like these people went a lot harder and did it a lot longer and a lot better at it. And look at what they come up with, nothing. Yeah. So you could sit there and get that. I got it in a certain little way many times. And one of them was, again, you have your curiosity and something, usually a dis-ease or a discomfort sort of drives you to look for, let's say, transcending ease and a transcending comfort. Yes. And there you are busy doing that. And it's a lifestyle and it feeds you in a lot of other ways. Yeah. You get a sense of community. You have a purpose now. You feel like you belong. You're involved with a 2,800-year-old tradition, let's say Buddhism or however long it is. Yeah. A lot of good things, a lot. And so there I was. And there was a Whole Foods where I lived, and when you went to pay, there was on a rack, there was magazines, and one of them was this Buddhist magazine called Tricycle, which was done beautifully, a lot of color and very nice print, and they would speak about like Vipassana and speak to people that were practicing Buddhism, yes, and have stories in it, and I would pick it up. I think I got a subscription for it. I liked it so much. And it was just a nice way to break the monotony of constantly looking for shit. Yeah. So there one day I was reading it and I came upon like an article, more like an opinion piece. Yeah. And it was from a famous, who I didn't know who it was, but seemingly a famous Western meditation teacher who must have been at it for about 30 years. And he was explaining he's been having this mass phenomena with all these all these people that have been practicing for a very long time. And they were getting back to him and saying, hey, nothing's happened. Yeah. Like after 25 years, I don't think I've had many great leaps of bounds. Yeah. So I read that and I said, I pulled the emergency brake on the spiritual bus. I said, I didn't wait for I just let me off. It just made complete sense to me. These people had dedicated and practiced and were much more advanced than I was ever going to be. And they gave me the answer. Nothing fucking happened. So I said, thank you. And I just dropped that interest. I did. Now, of course, when you're walking around with your pants down, you feel like pulling them up. Yeah. You don't got anything to do or hide behind or whatever, or identify with. So you're uncomfortable, but in a curious way. And then I think I started started hearing the message of non-duality. Just started with some lady speaking in a park near Berkeley, and then it took off from there. Yeah. And then what I obviously needed, I finally heard, because it led quickly to the end of seeking, in a sense. Yeah. Concerning a spiritual transcendent type seeking. Yeah. It just came to a halt, screeching halt, and never gathered much momentum ever since. Yeah. So I see that as working. Yeah. Because if I was dissatisfied and discontent, I would have probably made non-duality into like Buddhism. I would have probably tried to practice it and read more books on non-duality and get to the subtle doing of non-doing. Yeah. But just from like a street level curb dog shit awareness, I just lost interest, and sufficiently that it became obvious. Yeah. Hugely obvious, because I was keenly interested in doing meditation and stuff like that. I was feeling I wanted to progress to some kind of a better form or something. And I had a little bit of ambition in it. The only other thing I ever had real ambition to was, drugs and surfing, really. Those, I think, drugs, surfing, and Buddhism. Yeah. And, surfing's going to end sooner or later. Like someone said to me, they hadn't seen me in a while, and their friend would used to surf with me, and he said, Paul retired from surfing, but I said I was retired from surfing. The body broke down, and I was retired from what I call surfing, a certain size wave. I just couldn't do it. My knees were shot. So I would feel more of the act of being retired than retiring. So yeah, that's what I feel. So, and I think a lot of people who hear non-duality were practicing a lot. It doesn't mean that has to be the case, but one of the great ways to arrive at success is through failure. This is a dualistic event, yeah? So who would have thought that the greatest success would come from the most failures, yeah? But this is how it goes. And that is definitely a flavor of duality right there. And this experience here is expressed through how we're seeing in a dualistic way. So from one point of view, the failures was a bummer. I saw no value in it, none. But just with a different emphasis, the same behavior that seemed to be a complete bummer was greeted with a hallelujah. Yeah, because what would verify you are what you're looking for if better than failing to find it when you were looking for it so ardently, yeah, so earnestly, so consistently, yeah? What better example is that? You gave it a pretty good run and it failed. And after you spent years blaming yourself or the person or whatever, you came to the great conclusion, I can't find what I already am. Yeah. Hallelujah. And it's like that story I always use, and this is what triggers it. Did I think I was going to use this story 5 minutes ago, bro? Just like you didn't probably think you were ever going to have mayonnaise with your ham and cheese. But I'm going to bring you this story. When I was in Australia, certain circumstances brought me to this 8-day sort of therapeutic retreat run by Rajneesh people. There was a lot of them there, but I didn't know anyone at the place. Everyone knew everyone else. I didn't know anybody. I ended up getting involved in that. And their crescendos, they had a very good way of producing cathartic events, along with music and it worked. And a lot of people would be brought to like fits of crying and wailing and, all this stuff. And so one day near the end of the 8 days, it had been building momentum, and I was going through this thing. They put on the music again, and then I just got taken up, and I started like moaning and crying, and I kept saying, I can never get back. I can never get back. I can never get back. And people who have gauges of spiritual experience thought I was having a high one. So they rushed over to me and they took me out of the meeting as the anointed one. And then, and a couple of days later, a very simple recognition was revealed, because I had a belief that I had split like from God, that I was the prodigal son. Yeah. Somehow I had done something so heinous that it separated me from the all and the wholesome and everywhere. So I was just chanting the agony of that. I can never get back, of course, matched with a huge desire to get back. If I can only find the way and the means, I'll do anything, but not nothing. But I'll do anything to get back there, but not nothing. That was the problem. I always thought you had to do something. I didn't know the secret was in nothing. I didn't. And so had that big event. A couple of days later, I realized the reason why I can never get back, because I never left. Yeah. And there was no parades or 4th of July explosions, nothing, no crescendo in the orchestra. None of that shit happened. It was just like an ordinary bump. Yeah. That got my attention. Paul, you can never get back because you never left. Yeah, it was so great. And so whatever I got out of those 8 days, that was probably the biggest nugget. Yeah. And uh yeah, so here we are. Yeah. All I wanted to do was help others suffering addicts and alcoholics, because I had seemed to have suffered as an addict and alcoholic. And I realized I had a talent of communicating to people things that they had a hard time understanding, just like, going to a car mechanic. So I knew I could help in that way. I could be of help and be used by something, let's call it the spirit in AA. And I was more than happy to. After all the using I had done in life, I was more than happy to be used. Yeah, it's quite healthy. And of course, it just led to this point where I'm speaking tonight on a Wednesday night with a large group of people who I have some fondness for, and holding the space for this loving presence to express itself through us. And yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world, in a way, because if I saw a really good movie and the first few people said "fuck you" or that's that, I'd probably find other people to share about it, because I have a real feeling someone's going to like the movie. Yeah, I just do. Yeah, I didn't know people would get so upset when I told them about this movie, but I was okay with that, because I knew there's got to be people who are going to like this movie. Yeah, there just has to be. I mean, it just makes so much sense to. There's so much weight that we can't even see we're carrying it. It's been carried for so long, we take it to be us. Yeah, and it's not. And the center of the universe does not reside in the mental state. It just doesn't. It's not there. And for all roads of interest and attention to lead to that mental roam, that's no bueno. Yeah. It's much nicer for it to get dispersed into a panoramic condition than enslaved to this myopic drive. Yeah. So you see self-centeredness, but you're not looking from self-centeredness anymore. Yeah. You see it all day, but you're not looking from it, because you're seeing it. Yeah. You're aware of it, and you've lost interest in it, because what caused the awareness to keep going to that hole? It said it was you that was there. Yes. And just like a loyal dog, it keeps going to that master, but it's not the master. Yeah. So yeah, here we are. And this is coming from my own feeling. I'm not in any sect or any division or any group. I don't sit here giving a talk with a picture of some dead person who I never met, or they never met me. I don't do any of this. I'm just here sharing exactly how it comes through. And there you go. Probably it's tinted a little bit from the little New York, Long Island aspect, but hey, you can see through that. It's not that thick. Yeah. Hopefully there's enough clear water that you won't emphasize the little dirty water. Yeah. Yeah. Someone else drank from your bottle. I'm sorry, but someone else has drank from this bottle before. It's not uniquely sanitized for you. Yes. So there you go. If anyone has anything they'd like to share.
No hands up right now. What you covered reminds me of, you used the example once, it could be anything that might represent seeking for what you are. You said a happy meal might be that. And but it could be science, right? But as soon as you start wondering what it is that you might represent your seeking for yourself, then you're already twisted, right? So like
Very
just
fast.
seeing it in the rearview mirror, like you said, like, oh wow, I lost interest in the Happy Meal or science, or like you say, your interest got distributed in a way that you just changed it or you enjoyed what you did instead.
Yes. Well, the thing is, it's rooted in interest and attention, I feel. And if you have enough interest and attention to look for it as that which is looking, at that point, you're not in a right mind. Yeah. So when the thing that's extremely full of interest and attention wants to entertain being less interested in and attentive is more just the same, more interest and attention in it. You see? So that which signs up for a 2-year of a class about you're not self, that will be reinforcing the idea of being self. Yes. You're it. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't see yourself on a ride that you can get off. You see this is the ride. Yeah. The way you look at things is from a ride point of view. The way you react is from a ride point of view. And you see only things from a your agitated condition when you're looking through the eyes of the mental state. The mental state is agitated. It doesn't start from peace and it doesn't end in peace. It's agitated. It's shook up. And when it's shook up and it tries to look at things, it gives the meaning of what things look like when it's looked at from shook up. Yeah. So its idea of peace is something to get and then worry about losing it all day. Yeah. And then the best we can do, weren't you surprised if you ever went on a retreat and after like the 12th day or 14th day when you stopped and you were going to go home and they stopped you and said, don't drive on a freeway. Don't listen to any heavy metal music. Don't eat any meat today for 2 days or something. I mean, the condition was so fragile, they gave you warnings about what was going to happen to it as soon as you left the fucking controlled environment. That's not it. It's not like a fucking fragile jewel that's going to crack and break open. And because of its fragility, it's more based on you and how you are taking care of it and how you are doing it. This isn't like that at all. It's dog shit awareness. It's always available at all times. It drives through the mud, the snow, the sleet. It can be completely chaotic and it's not chaotic. It can be, the place may be super calm and it's calm, not based on that calmness. It's just, it is. How can it be rocked by something that isn't? Yeah. The point is to see that you're not that something that isn't, and then you'll understand or sense the is because you are the is. You're not going to know it from the is not. All you're going to know the is as the is not sees it or thinks about it. That's what this ride does. That's what it does. It doesn't see anything. It sees everything as how it pertains to this. It's called self-centeredness. Yeah. So the is not going to get it. Hallelujah. I hope it happens quicker. Yeah. I think I'm really onto something. You'll probably have that idea 30 times, and then that's going to be dismissed. And it's going to be like a thief in the night. There's not going to be any great proclamation. You'll just be awake to being awake. Yeah. There won't be, I'm sending a notification to all my Facebook friends at 12:33 on Tuesday, Paul Hedderman became awake. No, it's so fucking ordinary. There's no thinking about it. Yeah. It just becomes the new norm. And now you run through the same shit you used to run to, but you're now awake. Instead of running into shit, you see something running into shit. Yeah. It softens all the blows. Yeah. What is a bumper, we used to call the car. Now, when the bumper hits life, we realize that's what happens. When it was the car hitting life, why did that fucking person run into you? Why? You're a bumper. Yeah. The action figure takes hits. Yeah, shit happens. Yeah. So the seeker is the sought. We went over that the other day. How about you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha? Do you believe that any master or any inviter would have said that to anyone other than the Buddha? Do you really think that person, that something was coming through in this event, it was Huang Po, a great Zen master. Do you believe when he was speaking that day and he was looking at the people or the room, feeling the room, he was seeing the people as individual, special, unique characters? No, he was seeing them as the Buddha. And he realized the people, the individual sense of being a person was the fucking obstruction. Yeah. Because the only thing can stop you from being here is what's being here. If you can convince being here that it's not here, it can appear to be an obstruction. Nothing else can do it. Nothing else can obstruct being here except being here. So being here listens to this huge story, and for a bit of time and circumstances, it appears to it that it's forgotten, yeah, that it's that which is here now, to the absurd point where it may be trying to arrive at where it always is. And this is what I feel the guy was looking at. He said, nor, aka Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself. Yeah, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. And what he's saying is, it's not like you can't use Arm and Hammer Epsom salts to seek the Buddha. He was talking about, because you're the Buddha, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. If you were anything else, his advice would be, seek the fucking Buddha. But the point is, you are the Buddha. So he was trying to get through this constant obstruction of the ride, thinking it's on a ride. Yeah. The ride. Yeah. He wanted to get around that. So there's Steve, but he went right around Steve or through Steve and talked directly to the Buddha. Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself. And then he didn't leave it at that. He said, you can't use mind, big M mind, which meant everywhere in the old Zen. Mind was like the large S self of Brahmana. You can't use mind to seek mind. And then he said, you can't use light to seek light. And he went, you can try this for eons and nothing's going to happen. Yeah. Because if you're looking for the Buddha to happen, you're here. Because it's happening now. Buddha nature is a verb. It's not a noun that gets turned on when we finally try to arrive there. It's verbing. It's a nature that's of us. We are the Buddha nature. No matter how it's clothed or interpreted, or forget about the infinite condition and just completely emphasize the finite condition. Well, you look like a body for 70 years. Let's not talk about what was infinitely before, what was infinitely during, and what's infinitely after this appearance of a finite body. Let's just emphasize the finite body as the reality of the day. Yeah. So in that case, Steve is the most important point, but Steve cannot get around the fact that it's Buddha. Yeah. Buddha can't seek the Buddha with the Buddha. Can't use light to seek light. You can't use mind to seek mind. There you go. That should disqualify you from a lot of stuff and qualify you in such a way that you'll lose interest in getting anywhere when it comes to being the Buddha. Yeah. And maybe you're not a great shiny Buddha that's you know, winning over tons of people with your loving gaze and incredible grace. Maybe you're just fucking awake today. Yeah. Maybe you never get gypped. I was there every second of this drive we had today, every second. I was there before it, I was there during it, and now I'm here. This is the last place you have to arrive at where you are. It's the last place. Last place. Most people, I believe, are trying to get out of this. They're not trying to get into this. Even when they're saying they're doing something to get into this, it's reinforcing the idea that they're out of it. Because how could you work hard to get into something unless you are out of it? What would drive that working hard to arrive somewhere that demonstrates no effort or thought to be itself, and attempt and believe that through effort and thought, I can arrive into that which demonstrates no effort or thought? I mean, doesn't it seem ludicrous? It must hit something. I mean, a lot of shit, we're like let's say a row of bells. Some shit rings tinny, doesn't it? You hit the bell and it has a nice clang and a nice rich tenor, and then you hit some bells and they're fucking tinny. Yeah, it's wow. You know, then you hit the other ones and it's harmonious. It goes with the other frequencies of the other bells. And you hit another one. It's sort of like it's dead. Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to provoke a clang it can't produce anymore. It's like a dead fucking bell. Yeah, just move on. Stop hitting it. Yeah, stop hitting the fucking bell and move on to the ones that are making music. Yeah, so I have such a great joy to sit here and share what I just love to swim in, man. Fuck. Before, when I was young, doing nothing was a conviction. You were going to be sentenced to a lot of bad luck if you did nothing. You were going to be punished by life if you did nothing. It was. Somehow, everything was twisted in me that somehow in my head, it was a meritocracy. I had to learn a lot of tricks just to get some break and feel okay. It was a slavery, literally. And only way I could see out was getting out, really out, which was getting loaded. And I just was driven in a fever pitch to do that, to such extremes that I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. It was that extreme. Yeah. Because the here that the mental state was presenting was covering up the here that is. Yeah. And I wanted to get out of that mental here at all fucking costs. Yeah. Even if it was only going to be 5 minutes and I would be arrested in an hour, I would do it. I would fucking do it. Yeah. And so I've been driven in this life. I have been driven. Yeah. What driving me now would be like today. We're driving to the city. We had no plan to go to the West Coast, but then we ended up piecing it together. We'll go to the Haight, and then, hey, instead of driving through the traffic to get to Novato at 3:30 or 4, we're going to just go around the coast and get here whenever we wanted. Yeah. That was there was no planning. We just came to it, and it worked out. And then the same sun came out, and Vlad got a lovely day and saw a very juicy Haight-Ashbury coming from Russia. What a gift. Yeah. Yeah. All this just happened. And then beach upon beach, vista upon vista, sun breaking through different cloud formations, just incredible. Like it would be like 50 encores you were given. So, yeah. All right. Thanks.
You ready for a question?
I'm ready, yes.
Floyd put one in chat. I meet people who get quite messed up about getting rid of addiction to spirituality, meditation, gurus, etc., especially the ones who are young. Paul, can you share a bit about getting rid of addiction to spirituality, meditation, gurus, etc.?
You don't get rid of it. You just tell the truth about it. First of all, you do not get rid of it. That would be part of what you're describing. You observe it, you see it, and you've lost interest in it because it's not you doing it, and you're not the result that it's leading to. Yes. So that's how it sees for me. And listen, it can be a great disservice trying to keep a person from their bottom. Yeah. Yeah. If they want to learn about fire and they don't want to listen to your description, just turn on the fucking gas thing of the stove. Let him put his finger in there. Not one of the useful fingers, let's say the pinky. And he'll get a whack. Yeah, I bet you he doesn't do it again. And if he does it again, they'll probably have to get a fire therapist to get some fucking help. Who knows? But no, I don't see anyone stopping the spiritual addiction. You know, that's part of the addiction. You know how many times people who are addicted want to stop? That is not a reaction to the addiction. It's part of the fucking addiction. The desire to stop and being completely powerless is thrown in your face every freaking day, and you don't feel too good. Yeah? You don't feel good that you make a vow at 9 and you're loaded by 11 a.m. It crushes whatever sense of fucking conviction in you, just rubs it down to the bone. So a big aspect of spiritual addiction is wanting to stop, or any addiction, wanting to stop. Yeah. And you think that's its own reaction to something. It's part of the problem. Yeah. Part of the problem is wanting to stop and not being able to. Yeah. Now, it can be incredibly valuable when you realize you want to stop and you can't do it, because maybe there'll be admittance of powerlessness, and then there'll be a surrender, and then there's a lot of grace there. Yeah. But if people are not interested in it, what did Jesus say? Don't throw pearls before swine. Yeah. Yeah. If people want to get fucked up, far out. Yeah. Yeah. It's better if they have like uncles and as police and shit. Yeah. So if you get arrested by a family member, you may not go to jail. Unfortunately, none of my family was in a police condition. So so yeah, that's my answer for that. I don't think you stop anything really. You just see it and tell the truth about it. And the truth will set you free. It will. See, we're not telling the truth about the starting point. How are you going to discern false evidence as false evidence? If right where you are right now, false evidence is appearing to be real, do you think it's going to be a great discerner of false and true? Do you? No, seriously. How absurd. If you see this as true, you're going to see a lot of false evidence as true. And the way you're going to learn from that is that things are going to, strange circumstances are going to occur based on taking that which is false to be true, and you're probably going to get some fucking misfortune. Yeah, your ass may get bitten, and sooner or later, hopefully you get it. Yeah, you can learn from others. If you have that ability, it can save you a lot of time, because others have been doing exactly what you're doing, and there's no one here that's unique in any way, shape, or form. No. So if you can learn from others, it's very, very valuable. Very valuable. If you can't learn from others, it's good to see that, because if you're seeing someone that can't learn from others and you keep trying to teach them, what's that about you? Yeah. If you were clear that this person can't learn from others, but you keep trying to force them to learn from you, something's off. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my answer, Mike.
And David had his hand up and then put it down. You done, David?
Am I done? I could chime in. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Good, good.
Um,
With my family today.
you're with your family today. It's beautiful. Hey, Vlad. Hey, hey.
Oh, my family, yes.
There's a movie. Hey, hey.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
used to talk about the brownie camera thing, the aperture.
Yes.
And over the past, few weeks, there's been an observance of the aperture and just the shifting sands of watching things open, things close, things. I had a good example of it last night, but there's a comfortability when the aperture closes. There's watching the ability to hold the space of like watching everything that can happen when it closes, like the fear in the system or whatever. You talk about it as mental anxiety mistaken as fear. These various things that happen. And then the next day, the same things that were shutting the system down are open again. There's a comfortability with those shifting sands. I just wanted to ask you about your experience of any of that, if you've had anything similar.
What do you mean? I got caught up with the idea of fear
Oh,
because
yeah.
mental anxiety cannot do what it does unless you have the ability to be afraid.
Well, it's like taking false evidence to be real, like can happen in like a very momentary basis, but there's like a deeper sense of its unreality. So there's almost a holding space for that contraction. And then
Yeah, of course.
it's open again, but it's
Yes.
like becoming desensitized almost to the opening and closing or to the system's reality.
Yes, because that's not you. That used to be called you.
Right. But
That which is opening and closing. It's not you. So that's why you have space, because we don't hold the space, we are the space.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's weird. There's like shift, it's shifting. It's a very fluid. I don't.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there's gonna be a movement in front of you, but what you see is through the movement, where before you saw from the movement,
Mhm.
which is the selfing. Yes.
Mhm.
So now the selfing is appearing sort of like it can be at times like a light, consistent rain on a windshield. Yeah. But you don't even turn on the wipers.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're seeing through it.
And
Yeah.
just rain. It's gonna. Yeah.
You don't know anything. You just
Wow.
see through it. Yeah. And then the knowing is going to come at the moment it's coming. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything fucking before until.
Mhm.
But this is how it looks like to me.
But
There's noise
Mhm.
that used to block your whole vision because of the interest and attention in that noise, because it was cast as being all about you. Now that it's not about you, you see around, through, over, under the noise, so to speak. Yeah. You know
And
what I mean?
and
Yeah.
but driving through a rainstorm too, it's like the rain. It's temporary, like everything in the place of temporariness.
Yes. And it dissipates, turns into something else, goes back into the space. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. That's like most things.
Yeah.
Like you could see, thoughts would be like more of an audio of a drop of water hitting a windshield. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
something you hear. Yeah. It's not magnified or amplified by the attention and
It
interest.
doesn't take. Yeah. The rain never covers the windshield. It just creates a chaos.
Right, for a minute.
It's difficult to see through, but the windshield has the ability to allow you to see through. The rain doesn't stop that. Yes. Now, in our head, we believe the rain stops it.
Right. Yeah.
So when we believe we're thinking, we don't believe we're seeing, but we're seeing before the thinking.
Mm.
That's what's allowing the thinking to be noticed. Yeah.
That's
There's
good.
always seeing, and from where the seeing starts, it's super clear. Yeah. When it goes through its lenses and shit, it may get a little dirty, but the dirtiness doesn't become the seeing. It's on the seeing and can be easily brushed off the seeing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What keeps the interest or the dirt in it is the attention and interest. We
Right.
have the head has a stubborn belief. I just saw it. We used it the other day. Chimes are playing, and I wanted to check something else because it was like watching the head like a dog that was trained. Yeah. So I'm laying there in bed, and I go, all right, I'm listening to the chimes. Chime, 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 and then go back to the idea of Paul. And then back to chime, chime, back to Paul. No me doing anything, just watching it. And you could see the stubborn habit. No matter how much it gets invested in the chime, it always goes back and touches the base of Paul. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's not me.
Right, it's a habitual movement.
That's right. I'm not the habitual one. It's habitual. It's
Yeah.
stubborn. I'm not stubborn. I'm not habitual.
Right.
How are you going to do a fearless recognition of something if you take it to be you? You want to hide a lot of shit about you out.
Sure.
But now you see it as not you, and there's a very clear, honest appraisal. Yes?
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
So you see the throbbing heart of self-centeredness, the attention and interest goes anywhere, and it always goes back to that heartbeat that goes Paul, Paul, Paul. But very interesting to see. Could you imagine trying to correct that? Really? That would be Paul having the attention leave the chimes more back to Paul. Paul
But
cannot correct Paul.
it would be more
Paul
Pauling.
fucking Pauling.
There'd be more Pauling around the contraction.
Yes, you see it now. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
holding it lightly it's so much more gentle, and then you can, whatever. Pass
You're
through.
before it all. That's the great news.
Yeah.
Maybe you're afraid of what's coming, but you never need to be afraid of looking back because there's nothing before you. There's nothing before you. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emptiness.
You're it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Isn't that Ramana said about one of the things about the self-inquiry was his very clear, it was just obvious to him that everything that is manifesting always will go back to where it came from, which is this all everywhere is called self. Yeah. So if you follow anything, we used to use the idea of if you tie a string to a mouse, you'll be able to follow it back to the hole. Yeah. So this is what happens with the attention. If you follow anything back, it brings you back to the source.
Mm.
SOURCE. Yeah. Now, this message is about you're already at the source, so you don't even have to be brought back there. But if you feel like you need to be brought back to it, there's a lot of ways to go about it. But I hope that you've been brought back enough to realize you never left. So it's gotta crack that stubborn mental logic sooner or later. Yeah.
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 That's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. No, thank you for sharing.
Oh yeah, you're welcome, man.
Beautiful.
The sleep of a baby.
Ooh, that looked peaceful.
Oh, we woke him up. He's a baby. Sleeping like a baby. All right, anyone else?
No other hands.
So happy to see Robert French. I want to say hello, Robert. I was thinking of you the last few times. I'm happy I'm happy to see you again.
Yeah, I haven't felt it necessary to listen to the message for a while, but yeah, something got through a while back there, and yeah, but I just wanted to check in and let you know I was still alive.
Great. I really appreciate that, because I love the comings and goings, but I wouldn't mind hearing from people that leave.
Yeah, well, yeah,
No, I would. It's nice to know that. I have a great feeling about you anyway. So yeah. So that's
yeah,
great,
no,
Rob.
things are good. Yeah, that's there's before the point of reference was the what I'm not. Now there's no point of reference. It's
Yes, great.
just is.
Yeah. There you go, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just send me a Christmas card every 8 years or something.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it might be a bit hard. I'm nearly 80, so there won't be many Christmas cards.
All right, bro. But drop in every once in a while to remind me
I will.
how much I like you. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome. He's a friend from New Zealand. Yeah. Anyone else?
Nope.
You know, I love when people threaten me they're gonna leave.
I'm going to
Having
threaten that I'm never going to leave.
what? Oh, that's okay too. It doesn't matter. Hey, there's so much, well, whatever. Yeah. You ever see when water leaks out? It doesn't always necessarily go through one spigot, yeah. It goes wherever it's possible, it goes out those holes and comes in those holes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
Nope.
If not, we'll start saying goodbye, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got a lot of people here at the house. All right. Hey, William Stamps, I hope everything's going well, or at least better. Yes? Good. Kerry and an anonymous person. Nice to see both of you. Anu, are you're in India still, yes? Oh,
Yes, Paul.
very
Yeah.
nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be thinking about you when we're in Joshua Tree. Well, we're thinking about you. We're not thinking about you, actually. Feeling you, yes. John K. Yeah. Nice to see you, John. Hey, Mika, my friend from Finland. Sherry, we're ready. Friday. We'll let you know when we get the code. So you get into the house. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would help, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm gonna get there earlier. So
Yeah, I know. So
maybe Amelia can ask if they can get in earlier.
Can we ask? Yeah, we can ask. I think it's after 3 or something. Or
Oh,
4.
okay. I was gonna get there a little bit before that, if I could.
All right.
Yeah.
We will. Eric P, I'll see you this weekend, Eric. Holly A, I don't think I ever met Holly live, but Kathleen, Smitty, there she is. Robert, Frank, iPhone, Beth in Michigan, I think, or Missouri, somewhere. David Bitterman, nice to see you. Miss Amelia, wow, you've gone through a transformation, Miss Amelia. Wow, I have to reconsider certain things. Nora, Dana, M, nice to see you, Dana. Floyd, thank you for the chat message there. Susan Harris, keep her down there. Susan Harris, Sanjay, Jeremy
Paul.
D.
Thanks, Paul.
Nice to see you guys. Jeremy, nice to see you there. David, as always, down under. Steve in San Diego. I will be seeing Steve soon. Alan Olson, Alan T. Wow, 2 Allens next to each other. Susanna W. Well, Susanna, I think you should come to Joshua Tree. Let us know quickly. Christine, Ramis, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Fletch, thanks, Fletch. Yeah, call me whenever, next week. A long phone number. I think that's it. Hey, I had a very nice. Thank you for having me here, and I hope we're gonna have a live meeting on Saturday at 2 p.m. in Temecula. So the Zoom on Saturday will be at 2 p.m., not 1 as usual. And obviously there won't be a live meeting in Marin City because we're gonna be in Temecula that day. So 2 o'clock, just to be obvious. All right, thanks, guys. See you. See you, Susan Harris and everyone. Yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.